I just saw some chicks. I just saw a few chicks.
In this video, I'm going to teach you my best tips and tricks for photographing shorebirds. And not just any shorebirds. We're in eastern Canada looking for the endangered piping plover. I hope to show you some behavior, my best techniques, and if we're lucky, find some baby piping plover chicks.
Hi everyone. So I'm back at the beach I was at last week where I went looking for piping plover breeding pairs, and I found 2 nests last week. Hopefully I'll find some chicks this trip, and of course finding every chick is a joy and a wonder. Piping plovers are endangered species here in Canada. The numbers have been dwindling quite a bit over the last few decades, and there's been a lot of effort around conservation and trying to bring back healthy populations of piping plovers. The work for conservation for piping plovers is so famous in Nova Scotia that it's actually on my license plate. They're the poster child of conservation effort here in Nova Scotia. We're lucky here. Piping plovers have great allies in the volunteers that help identify the nests and keep an eye and monitor them. Birds Canada is an organization that runs a program with volunteers and coordinators who help identify nests, rope them off on beaches, and make sure people don't disturb the nest. And of course these assist greatly in helping the piping plover populations come back. So let's go have a look around and see what we can find. Now the first tip to get better photos of shorebirds is to get down low. By far this is the most important tip. Shorebird photos really benefit from getting down to eye level. As do most photos, you need to be at eye level with the birds to have really intimate photos. You have to make it look like you're in the same scene as the bird. If it looks like the bird's on the beach but you're not on the beach with them, it really doesn't make an interesting photo. So you've got to get down low. You can either use a tripod and put it down low, you can sit down and put the lens on your knees, or you can lie flat on the ground with the lens held in your hand just above the sand. Another opportunity recently is to use flipping LCD screens to use a way to get down low, especially if you have modern cameras with eye auto detect that allow you to put the bird almost anywhere in the frame and just take some shots that way. Getting down low has a great way of putting the background and the foreground out of focus, which really help make your bird pop out in the frame. Tip number 2 is to let the birds come to you. Too often I see people chasing birds down the beach. Not only is this not the most ethical way of photographing shorebirds, but you don't get good photos, you don't get natural behavior, and you don't get the birds looking in your direction. They're always walking away from you. There are 2 main strategies to get close to shorebirds on the beach. Number 1 is to be predictive and try to figure out where the birds are going, not where the birds are. Often shorebirds are feeding along the beach in a certain direction. Once you know that direction, go up the beach a few hundred feet, just sit down and wait. Often the birds will come to you. Second is to be patient. You need to wait for the birds to come acclimatize to your presence and to start acting very naturally around you. Often this is done by just finding a good spot, sitting down, and waiting. Allowing the birds to continue their natural behavior makes the best photos. Seeing them preening, eating, jumping around, all these behaviors make the best photos. So having them act naturally is quite important. That's why finding a spot on the beach and laying down and waiting for the birds to come to you is the best strategy. While getting down low will give you a clean shot of the bird, it doesn't always make for the most interesting photo. Try to find something interesting to put in the photo with the bird. A clump of seaweed, a shell, another bird, a bird in the background, some kind of pattern in the sand. Anything that adds to the photo will make a prettier photo. The next tip is around adding water elements to your photo. When you're at the beach photographing shorebirds, often they're interacting at the water's edge. Use this interaction to add different elements to your photo. Add a splash, A wave in the background, a wave in the foreground, anything to add a little bit of color and action to your photos. Your photos will look much better and much more dynamic if there's some action in there, even if it's not the bird, even if it's the water. 3 piping plovers here feeding on the beach, so I'm gonna get down low and see if I can get some photos. I've got to show you this behavior they do. They tap the sand with their foot to see whether or not they can feel any movement of invertebrates or anything else under the sand, and when they do, they can go down after it. The next tip is around being very mindful of the direction of the sun. Only put the sun behind your bird if it's very low on the horizon, like the last 30 minutes of the day or the first 30 minutes of the day. That gives you an opportunity for a beautiful golden background or a beautiful silhouette. If the sun is very high in the sky or very bright, put it behind you. Put it over your shoulder or behind your head and shoot into your shadow. That way you'll get the bird fully illuminated. I just saw some chicks. I just saw a few chicks. They're quite a ways away here. Well, that's awesome. I'm not gonna get any closer. I'm just gonna get down low right here and observe some natural behavior. That was amazing. They've gone a bit further down the beach, but I'm not gonna go towards them at all. I'm just gonna sit right here to see if they come back. That was a great example of just being patient and letting the birds come to you. When I first arrived, the birds were maybe 50 meters away, and I actually just sat down right on the spot. They started working their way down along the beach. Next thing you know, the 2 parents are coming along in my direction, and the 3 or 4 chicks are in tow. Because the background was a bit dark, I was able to get the beautiful backlighting and the rim light around the chicks, which is actually what makes the best chick photos, is when you've got some light, like backlight on it, and you can have a dark background against which the highlights show off. So that was absolutely amazing. They went right in front of me, went a little farther, turned around, went back. Now they're gone down the beach. I'm not sure, but I think the chicks might be underneath the parent. The parent looks really puffed up laying on the beach. So I'll see if I can get a shot of the chicks hiding underneath the parents, which is something that they do from time to time if they get cold or if there's some predators about. That was awesome. I was able to show you the behavior of the chicks hiding underneath the plumage of the parents. That was really, really cute. Here's a tip on getting a really low angle with tripods on the beach, is to get tripods with legs that expand outward and without a center column. That way the tripod can go flat on the ground. Oh, wow, wow. That was amazing. Amazing. One of the best experiences I've ever had in wildlife photography. To get the double benefit of seeing a species on the rebound with young chicks, which adds to the ability of the of the species to make a comeback, that was fantastic by itself. But to be able to just lay there, I used my own advice. I saw the birds, I just got right down, right on the spot, and didn't move. But part of ethical bird photography as well is not overstaying your welcome. I was able to get some photos, and it was fantastic. And when I say be patient to get your photos, I don't mean hanging around the same family of young birds too long. I got my photos, and I got some video, but you know, I don't want to overstay my welcome, so it's time to move on. Time to let that bird family keep doing what they do naturally, and to keep going down the beach. If you want to do your part to help piping plovers and other nesting sandpipers on beaches, there's a few things you can do. Number one, you can obey the signage about nests and activities on the beach. Second, put your dogs on a leash if you're going on a beach where there might be nesting birds. Third, don't ride your ATVs and cars on the beach. Also, don't forget to bring your garbage. Garbage attracts gulls, foxes, mink, and other animals and predators that prey on birds. And finally, if you want to become a volunteer, I'll put a link in the description below where you can become a volunteer to monitor nest sites.